Welcome, everybody, to Night of the Nerdy Laser Podcast, episode 130. And as promised, we have a different kind of topic and a guest, but neither one of those are correct from what we said last week. So I am your host, as always, Richard. We can't get guests on here, Yule, anymore.
And I'm Jeff Lown.
Except we do have a guest. We have Vampire Mike back with us from Sega CD Universe, buddy. Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you? Before we start, I just want to briefly say Rich and Jeff are holding me against my will to do this podcast. They have threatened that if I do not do the podcast when they want to do it at the exact time and day, they will summon Nazi elves to take over the earth.
That's true.
So,
That is true. We were left with no other choice.
The Nazi elves, because they're the ultimate weapon. They're small and nimble, and they could do backflips or whatever that guy says.
So here I am.
Thanks
We're
for
glad
coming
to
on.
have you on. We promised talking about toys, but we're going to talk about video games instead, which are basically toys anyway. So we figured we'd get an expert such as Vampire Mike, who has every Sega CD game known to man, and I'm jealous. And he also has a great YouTube where he talks about Sega CD games and horror movies now. So
Lately, it's been a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre game talking about video games.
Yeah, I've been playing that one a lot on the Xbox Series X and posting little clips of me winning, which is rare.
Is it good? Is that game good? I haven't played it.
Very fun. They're still tweaking it. There's a lot of naysayers and people who say how bad it is and how it's dying and how they don't have enough of a fan base. I really enjoy it. I think it's very fun.
How do you feel like with that one compared to like Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight or whatever that other one is?
I've been playing Dead by Daylight since it came out, and I love it. But I definitely got a little burnt out after 8 or 9 years or whatever it's been.
Jesus.
To be expected.
Yeah, Friday the 13th is more similar to this. This is more refined. There's more options. There's more killers. So I tend to like it a lot better. I liked Friday the 13th a good deal. But Dead by Daylight has a real stranglehold on the asymmetrical horror community. So they're all really fun in their own way. I really hope Texas Chainsaw lasts, but we'll see what happens.
Did they also have didn't they have an Evil Dead one that was kind of similar in a way, or was that game a little different?
They did. They had an asymmetrical horror game with Evil Dead. I'm not a fan of the movies. But
Yeah,
the
I know.
All right, me either.
The game, yes, the game has now went on sale for like between $5 and $10. They're no longer supporting it, but they're keeping the servers up for I think another year or so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I tried to get into the Friday the 13th one. I think I was a little late trying to get into it because like it was already kind of in between like the legal issues, so there were no more like updates and like just all that stuff. And I would just get killed instantly. So I was like, this is not the game for me, apparently. And I just wanted to be Jason, and it was like, no, you're not going to ever get to be him. Sorry. So,
Yeah, I think you can pick an option, like a preference, and then it randomizes,
Yeah, I just wasn't lucky enough.
I randomly met the creators of the game at Scarefest last year.
Oh.
Yeah, they were, I guess they helped sponsor Scarefest, and Scarefest got some video games, passed them out and stuff. And, but I was talking to these two people, and they're like, oh, yeah, we made that game. I was like, oh, cool.
Gun Media?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was two guys from there. One guy was like very extrovert, and one guy was very introvert, so it was funny.
Yeah, there's one guy, I don't know who he is in the, scheme of things, but he tends to seem to argue a lot on Reddit with people about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game, and then because it's the same company, and then he also seems to take things to heart, and he gets very, butthurt if people don't like certain things or aspects about the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your baby. If
I mean, it's hard.
Like, well, that baby's got like a stupid story. You're like, hey, come on.
Right.
With FrankenCon, if people post bad stuff on Facebook, we just delete them on the page.
What didn't we have a guy? Didn't we do a live episode of?
Oh yeah, we got trolled.
On trolling us, and he was like, "You guys suck. Like you're garbage."
And then he even sent our first email.
Yeah. So we thanked him.
Telling us we sucked.
Thanked him on the show. We're like, thanks, buddy. At least you wanted to write in and help us out.
That's funny. So since we're talking about horror games, and you brought up Texas, I just want to give a quick shout out to. I don't have a complete version of this, sadly. Ground Zero Texas on the Sega
yes.
CD. A very fun full motion video shooter that I think does not get enough love.
No, it was one of my favorites, man. We talked about it off air. I mean, I liked it. Yeah, it was my favorite Sega CD game outside of like Sewer Shark and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Ground Zero Texas.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You had like screens at the bottom, and you could switch, and it was sort of like Double Switch and Night Trap in a way, but it was a shooter. Which you have both of them. What's the difference?
I thought originally that one of them was unedited, but I'm pretty sure it's just the same game with the different packaging.
Because the big deal is like there's like a rape scene in it.
Yeah, it's like one of the monsters, the augurs, grabs the woman by the neck with the thing, and then starts sucking her blood out, and you can stop him, but if you miss it, then he sucks her blood out and captures her. It's really not. I don't even think rape is implied. There's nothing really sexual about it, but well,
that's what the media stated.
Yeah, the politicians.
Yeah, I mean, and that was right around the same time of Mortal Kombat and all that. So, it was that's when all hell broke loose.
I feel like Night Trap got like re-released on the Nintendo Switch.
It is on the Switch, and I can't play it at all. I can't do anything on it apparently. I've tried, and I just suck at it. I don't know.
Oh,
they did a lot. I know the creator Tyler, the guy who ported it over. We were friendly. He Tyler Hoggle, or Hogel, he had did a lot of quality of life stuff on Night Trap. He also worked on Double Switch. There's a few he's now converted over to the new systems and done a lot of quality of life kind of. Made the games easier and a little more, I guess, streamlined. But I've never played any of the remakes or the remasters.
Well, Night Trap wasn't the girl the sister from Different Strokes?
Oh, yeah, Dana Plato.
Yeah. Which that didn't help, kind of. She has a kind of tragic ending too, so all that just doesn't help the situation. But do y'all have like a first horror game that you remember playing? Because I was thinking, I don't think. But I would think I would, but I don't.
I think it would be Resident Evil for me as well, like Jeff. Not my
y'all
favorite.
Are too young. It's not fair, because I'm like, I grew up with like I played Haunted House, I think, on Atari. I don't know if that counts. But.
Yeah. I think Resident Evil was the first one I really saw that was straight horror. Not my favorite. I like the remasters because I think they cleaned up, the tank controls and stuff. So I like that stuff. Just to stick on Sega CD for 1 minute, no one talks about this game, and it's really, really cool.
You're gonna say Corpse Killer?
No, I have that here too. Actually, that's also sitting here. I do like Corpse Killer a lot. I think they remastered that too. But so Dracula. This is a 2-pack with Dracula and Frankenstein. I don't really like Dracula much. They're both based off the films, but Frankenstein is an amalgamation of a point-and-click adventure game, a puzzle game, not puzzle like Tetris, puzzle like, finding items and where you bring them and stuff, a fighting game, and an adventure. It's like 4 or 5 different genres mashed into this weird game of like different things you can do, and every scenario you get into is different, and you don't know how it's going to work out. It's really cool, and it's different, and I don't think enough people know that or talk about it. They think it's just the Genesis or Super Nintendo version, and there is some of that, but it's different.
I didn't know about the Frankenstein game. I knew the Dracula game.
Sega CD, I never had one, but it seems like it was ahead of its time with some of the games and like concepts and just gameplay stuff.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think that the full motion video was really cool at the time, but they really didn't have the power for it. I think if they had, clearer visuals and maybe the games were a little more interactive, even though I enjoy that type of gameplay, a lot of people just didn't.
Yeah.
No, same. And I I think they thought going in like that was going to be the future of gaming,
Yeah.
and that's just not what most gamers wanted. Turns out.
We wanted Lawnmower Man.
I got that one too.
Yeah.
They did a prize fighter game where it was a first person boxer.
That
Just
was
a
a good
guy
one.
punching you in the face over and over.
Yeah.
It's difficult. You have to. I beat it. I don't beat a lot of games, but I beat it. I had to put on like a training mode, and it would tell you just during the first round when to throw punches. So I put it on easy, and I put the training mode on. And what I did was I just fought the same guy like 50 times and got so strong that I would just then upgrade my character and become so strong that like I could actually win.
That's crazy.
Beating a guy to brain damage to level up your character.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So Resident Evil, yeah, I love what I loved about Resident Evil. Like, I mean, I was almost probably 20 when it came out. And so me and my buddy would just like drink and Resident Evil was a cool game to like for one person to play and one person to watch, like because it kind of feels like a movie, you know. It's not just like a fighting game where you're just sitting there waiting for your turn or whatever. And that damn dog, it's still I needed therapy over that damn thing.
So
actually, I would like to take back my statement. Resident Evil was not my first horror game. I just realized this. This one.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
So
yeah, Friday the 13th on Nintendo. That's pretty famous.
I sent Richard a copy of that a while back.
It's pretty good, but it's so hard and like kind of abstracty in ways. As a kid, it seemed like everyone had it. You'd go to someone's house, they'd be like, "Oh, I have Friday the 13th," and you'd be like, "Okay." So it's kind of cool, kind of interesting. I think if you knew the mechanics at that point, you could probably get into it, but it's definitely kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. Ghosts and Goblins is the same way. Like I put that in horror, you know, and it's just impossible.
Those platformers back in the day, man.
I
was no good at
but it's Capcom, man. Capcom loves to make just really hard games. I mean, Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is one of the hardest games ever.
I was just playing Cuphead. I was playing it on the Switch. Oh my gosh,
I love that game, but it's so frustrating.
Because it's like you get 3 HP or whatever when you first start out, and if anything touches you, just barely, it's like you lose one. And I was like, oh, this first level will be cake. And I'm going through it, I'm getting like halfway, 3/4 done, and I was like, you know what? I'm 35. I really don't feel like playing a game where I just continually lose over and over again.
But what Cuphead is, it's all those old platformers where you're just supposed to play it over and over and over, get so damn frustrated, but then eventually get good enough to beat it. I mean, that's what Mario was back in the day, you know. I mean, you just played this and Contra, and you just played the same because there's nothing else to do. But now we have so many other options that games like that are very frustrating.
Yeah, now we just start a game of The Sims, and it's like I'm going to put a toaster over here on my kitchen counter, and then I'm going to
put this one in the bathtub. Put this toaster in the bathtub. Kill this guy. But yeah, Cuphead's beautiful. Like, I mean, have you seen the first person shooter of that? Like, it's not Cuphead, but it's like, I forget what what the name of it is, but it's like an old cartoon, but first person shooter coming out.
No.
Looks pretty cool.
That is cool.
So I think a game me and Jeff love is Super Nintendo, and it's Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Yeah. And
that was probably the first true like horror game that I really fell in love with, like as a teenager. What do you think? Do you like that game, Mike?
That's one of those games I actually either never played or had minimal playtime with. Yeah. So I don't remember it. I know of it, and I've seen reviews and such. It looks right up my alley, but I don't think I've ever played it.
The cool part about it is it has, like it's not just zombies. It's got like every horror trope. It's got like a big Jason kind of guy with the chainsaw. It's got a Dracula. It's got the little dolls that are kind of like Chucky. So it's got a little bit of everything. Again, I was bad at it, so I'd lose like all the because you have like 10. You start out saving like 10 people, and then like as they die, and each level you progress, like then you only have 6. Say 4 people die, then you only have 6 to save the next time. So I was bad at it. I was, maybe too young to like be good at games at that time, but
What's the other one, Jeff?
that it came with on the Switch? Bless you. I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember what it is, but it was basically kind of a horror adjacent game too.
Not Splatterhouse?
No, it wasn't Splatterhouse because Switch like ported it, did like a remaster.
It was like it was a pseudo sequel, so it was the same style of the Zombies Ate My Neighbors. But it was like it's Ghoul Patrol, Jeff. Ghoul Patrol.
And I never played that one.
I played it on the Switch, and it's harder than Zombies, I think.
Really?
Yeah. All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
I have a stack here of Dreamcast, Saturn, Xbox 360, Xbox One. I don't want to obviously, take up too much of the conversation, but I do want to point out a game I don't think a lot of people know about. I'm a huge fan of the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Oh, well, I love Neo Geo.
It's one of my favorites.
I never had in any version of Neo Geo.
Oh, okay. I love them too. I think I have an emulation system over here, the Neo Geo X. But Dark Arms Beast Buster was an arcade game where you do it was like a first person kind of, on rail shooter. They made it into like a Zelda type of game.
Oh, really?
Where you walk around and pick up items and level up and stuff. Really, really fun. It can be a little difficult, but if you like old school kind of like Zelda in a horror universe, highly recommended.
That's cool. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, you can like emulate or whatever.
Really, Metal Slug is like my favorite in Neo Geo.
That's a great one. One of my all-time favorite games, I even have a tattoo of it actually, is and it's one people don't really talk about enough. The Darkness.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It's based on a comic.
Yeah, it's a first-person shooter where you have these like special powers,
yeah,
like
really
demonic
good.
powers, and the demons taking over as you play. So you start to like flip out. Based in New York City, the subway station is really cool. The environment, the graphics at the time. I mean, Mike Patton does the voice of the Darkness. It's just a really good game. I just pulled out, Silent Hill's one of my favorite series.
I never got past the first one of Silent Hill. Like I beat it, and then 2 I didn't really try. I just remember getting frustrated with the fog in the first one, and I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
I went back. My friend mailed me a loose copy of the first one. Shout out to my buddy Chris. And I played through it and beat it one day when I was off, and I had a good time with it. But I think my favorites are still, people are going to get mad about this because I have this collection that people don't like. But 2 and 3, I think 2 is probably my favorite. I thought that was really good.
Does the story continue kind of from the first one, or is it just a totally new story?
No, 2. There's loose tie-ins, but 2 and 3 tie-in. That's about it. Every other game is really just its own thing, kind of. This is another Condemned: Criminal Origins, a first-person like a shooter with they say it's a homeless person beating simulator, because throughout the game there's these people that are like going crazy, like homeless people in buildings running after you with like 2x4s, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you have to beat the shit out of them and try and like make your way through like different facilities. It's creepy. It's really, really good.
Thanks, Ronald Reagan.
From where?
I said thanks, Ronald Reagan, for putting all the crazy homeless people out on the streets.
And the final 360 game I have here, which I know, Jeff, you had mentioned, one of my favorite games, Deadly Premonition. It's like think of Twin Peaks mixed with like a really janky horror game.
It's like Japan being like, all right, let's be American, and then you're like, okay, this is what they see Americans as.
They made a sequel on the Switch actually, but I haven't played it. I heard it wasn't great, but I would have bought it, but I don't have a Switch, so
you should get one. I'm sure they'll get a little bit cheaper here coming out, because
especially since the second one's coming
out later this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do y'all remember Clive Barker's Jericho?
Yeah, that was cool.
That's a good one, man. I liked it a lot.
Well, the one I wanted to mention, I didn't really play it, but I remember it just because I think Rockstar did it. It was Manhunt, right?
Yep.
Oh, is that the plastic bag one? Where
Yeah.
you put a plastic bag over their heads and stuff?
Yeah, those were cool. They did two of them. Yep. And it was funny because I think the sequel came out on the PSP and the Wii, and they were like, "Why is this on the Wii?" You know, like that's kind of a weird console.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So
We had some exclusives for well, maybe not quite exclusives, but they had like some Resident Evil games that were kind of only available on the Wii at some point. They were like,
Oh no, they did. Well, GameCube, Resident Evil 4 was only a GameCube game.
well,
for
yeah,
the
I remember
longest
that.
time.
But it was
So
just
yeah,
like
they
weird
had a deal
story.
with Nintendo for a while for Resident Evil. which
Then
is weird.
PlayStation 2 had a couple weird Resident Evil ones. I think it was like Outbreak 1 and 2, Outbreak
Yeah.
Files or something like that. And I always wanted to play those because they seemed closer to like the games, whereas
Weren't
like
they
some
like first
spin-off
person
ones were-
shoot? Weren't they like first persons?
I can't remember the name of that one, but I know I rented it from Hastings when we had a Hastings.
Gun Survivor.
Is that what it was?
So yeah, one of my favorite probably horror games ever, I think, is Luigi's Mansion. I love that game on the GameCube. I'm not a big fan of 2 and 3 in a way because I feel like they just like I love part 1 because it was like an 8-hour game. You know, it was pretty simple, and then I feel like they added that doctor guy in 2 and 3, and I just didn't care for him. But
I
that's
played
just
a little
me.
bit of it. I didn't play a lot of it.
I need so part of my problem is like for games, and I know not everybody thinks this way, but like if I have to look up a guide like to get through the game, I feel like I've cheated and I don't want to play anymore. So I got stuck on Luigi's Mansion 3. This was the part I think I told you about this, Jeff. I was at the beach house a few years ago. Not the beach house, like I have one. I was at a beach house that we rented with my wife's family, and I was sitting there, and my like at the time probably 5-year-old nephew was watching me, and I was doing pretty good, and then I got stuck, and he goes, "You're really bad at this game."
Yeah,
I haven't picked it up since. I was like, I got
your
shown
pride,
a
your
goddamn
pride is
5-year-old.
just hurt. Don't ever play Dark Souls then, because I don't know how you would get through that without some kind of guide or someone showing you. There they are. Look at them.
Oh, I love Dark Souls.
I'm so bad at them.
They look cool, but yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely horror themed.
Yeah.
So difficult. I mean, I love them, but I have to have friends play with me because I feel like I just don't do very well otherwise. Maybe the first one I did okay, but
that's how I am with that. My buddy that I play with, he's played them so many times that you could tell him like where you're at and he'll tell you exactly like what to do.
That's how my friend Eric is. He'll be like, "Oh, you have to go left here and pick up the," and I'm like, "How the hell? You know, how do you use guides?"
He's like, "All right, there's going to be a guy that jumps from behind these stairs that's going to push you off the edge if you're not being careful." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know how you know that." But yeah, he walked me through 2, basically walked me through 3. He's like, I really want to play Bloodborne because
that was really good.
I really like the art and stuff on that one, and just kind of the concept is a little bit different because you don't have a shield in that one. You use like a gun to parry stuff or something like that instead. But I'm real bad, so I die anyway. But and he walked me through Elden Ring as well. So
Elden Ring, oh my god, it was good. But that last boss, I could not.
There were 2 that gave me a lot of trouble. There was one I can't remember.
Molecula, whatever her name is.
Yeah, the girl, and then she morphs like 3 times or whatever. But
I couldn't beat her, and I couldn't beat the last boss. I had someone on line up.
Yeah, I think I ended up playing with that. Let me solo her guy. I think I somehow got in. You know what guy I'm talking about that like has the internet reputation of just like he helps people beat bosses, and he just tells you kind of stand back and don't die, and he'll just beat the boss by himself for you.
Yeah, I had someone do that for me with both of them actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are fun, but
sounds like how I played Gears of War 2 online. I just stayed back and let everybody else kill them.
Those are technically horror, I would say. There's some horror elements
like
in them.
Horror, sci-fi, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I love those.
Very story-driven, very good stories in them for sure, regardless of horror or not. But the stuff with Dom
I mean, I
keeps-
cried in Gears of War 2. I was so invested in that damn series. I mean, I cried.
Yeah.
Probably
I
that,
still think,
but not elves. Come on.
I still think Batista should play Marcus Phoenix. He wants to let him play it,
I think
He's
he's earned it at this point.
and he's not too old. I mean, Marcus was pretty old.
It's like your age.
I know. I can barely get out of
old.
this chair quickly. Which, by the way, Batista is Tong Po. I really like that.
You like
went
to
on
be
this-
a kickboxer?
I went on this kickboxer spree of the new kickboxers, but anyway, that's a whole nother subject. What about well, damn it, I lost it.
There you go.
The Saw movies. We did the movies, all last year. You can listen to those in the archives, but they made 2 Saw games, and I only played the first one, and I was so hyped about it. And it's not bad, but what is bad is the puzzles are the most frustrating, because it's those puzzles where it's like a pipe, and you have to connect this pipe or like electrical fuse to the bottom. Oh my gosh. I mean, I cursed that game so, and it's a timer. So like, I mean, I would curse that game. But I like the actual gameplay of it. And it had an original story. I don't know about the second one.
I didn't play them, but I had them on my list for a while of things to play, and I kind of liked the first few movies when they were out. Then it kind of got a little long in the tooth for me. The games looked cool. What I saw from the games and the reviews, I thought it looked fun.
If you got to go back and revisit the movies, it was Richard's favorite franchise, and then we revisited them, and now he doesn't
Quickly changed.
care for it anymore. But all right, here's a question.
They sadly get better, Mike. When you rewatch them now, they're
Yeah.
actually in they like. I mean, I think 4, 5, and 6 are probably better than 1, 2, and 3.
where they hit their sweet spot.
Yeah.
But just know, going back into them, that it's never whoever's game you think it is. It's always somebody else's. It wasn't your game. It was his game. And it wasn't his game.
There are so many stupid things in that.
So here's my
series.
question. Do you guys think game adaptations of movies for horror are better, or horror adaptations of games are better? So, because I bring that up because Until Dawn, that game that Larry Fessenden's company worked on for the PlayStation, which was a really, I didn't play it. I watched people play it. Good game on PlayStation 4. I think it was an exclusive, but they're turning that into a movie.
Yeah.
So I don't, I guess my question to you guys is, what would you, in your opinion, like, do you think games that were movies first, or movies that?
Well, movie adaptations to games are notoriously terrible. There's way more like intellectual properties, like The Darkness. I mean, that's few and far between. You have way more bad games that are based on an intellectual property, because they're farming it out to the cheapest person, or they were, and then they would just let them do whatever they wanted. And so but I miss those games because they were shitty. But yeah, I mean, I think an original game is the way to go. But I think every once in a while you can hit there was Riddick Chronicle, or the Butcher Bay.
Those were good.
Escape from Butcher Bay, I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I mean, Pitch Black started off as a horror movie.
Yeah. Well, the other one, I think, obviously, would be like, weird to not say it again, bring it back to Resident Evil. Like, those games had a huge following, and then they made the movies. And the first one wasn't awful, but
like
I don't
7 movies or something crazy. It's insane.
The first one, people were like, okay, let's see what they do with the second one, where they could bring in more characters, more stuff, more the like lore that we've had for all these games all these years. And then it seems like it just kind of went off the rails, and people were like, they can't make a good adaptation of this game into a movie for some reason. So I don't know.
Well, they're no longer basing them on the game.
Silent Hill, yeah, the first Silent Hill movie is pretty good.
Yeah, I like the first one. The second one is interesting. It has some good ideas, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, they fall flat in a few spots.
Did y'all see Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City or whatever?
No. I did.
Was it good?
it wasn't bad, and it felt more like Resident Evil than probably Resident Evil 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 or whatever, because at that point it's just weird. But yeah, it's kind of, I'd like to see if they were to adapt like Resident Evil 4, because that's like a different story. It could feel more like horror and stuff because it's not just zombies. You could have more freedom with Leon trying to save the president's daughter and all that kind of stuff. And they just did that remaster for 4 that's beautiful, just like all the remasters have been.
Yeah.
Then they kind of change up the story a little bit too, which I think works quite a bit for that, because I love doing the remaster of 2, and then 3 was okay. 3 is just kind of a weird game though. It doesn't feel like the rest because you just start out with like a machine gun and you're blasting people away like instantly. So
I need that.
Yeah, I think you'd
That's
like that one.
That's my pet peeve, man. I need like unlimited ammo. I just want to kill shit, man.
Got to play tofu mode or whatever.
Play what?
Tofu mode, where you're that block of tofu, and after you beat Resident Evil 2, you're just the like SWAT team guy and then you could be a giant like block of tofu.
Did you guys have a Dreamcast?
Dreamcast? No, I didn't.
I had a Dreamcast, yes, but the only game I really remember, I remember like 2 games. The Seaman game.
Seaman.
Seaman and Seaman, and then there was a Rush arcade racer.
Yeah, San Francisco Rush or something. Yeah.
And but what I remember about that game is me and my buddy discovered. This was before like internet gaming and stuff, but it had a mode where you were in like different settings, like parking garages and stuff, and you had guns on your cars. And you just, it was like kind of before Twisted Metal, and like you just shot each other and stuff, and we had a blast with that. But I don't remember any horror games on Dreamcast.
You mentioned Resident Evil, so I just wanted to give a nice nod. Blue Stinger.
Oh,
this is a sort of like Resident Evil, but really, really cheesy. And you're in this place called Dinosaur Island during Christmas. So everything is very Christmas themed. And you're running around trying to find like this. I want to say it's like a virus or something. Yeah, it's a research island, and you're trying to find like a virus antidote or something. Really goofy. If you like Resident Evil, want something like sillier, highly recommend it.
I gotta go look up a playthrough of that online because it sounds kind of cool.
Fun, you'll like it. That's fun.
Yeah. Dino Crisis.
Oh yeah,
that big one. Yeah, that was a big one.
If you want no ammo and a bunch of dinosaurs coming after you, that's a good one.
5 bullets in your Beretta.
And 5 bullets to take down a T-Rex. Good luck.
That's one that people have been kind of bugging them to remaster after the success of 2 and 3 and 4 now. But,
Jeff, do you know who doesn't like video games?
I'm assuming it's the guy that sells them. Is it Jason down at the dungeon?
It is. It's not that he doesn't like video games. He just doesn't have time for them. And he used to be a skater and a ski guy and all this, which is funny if you know.
I heard Jason. He was a skater boy. That's why you told him you'd see him later, boy.
So Jason down at the dungeon is one of our favorite people. He sells Blu-rays, DVDs, VHS, vinyl records, laser discs, video games from all the systems. I traded in some Switch games just a few weeks ago. So if you're in the neighborhood of Maryville, Tennessee, you can check him out on East Broadway at the roundabout. Just go around the building of Southland Books and you'll find them. If you're not in Maryville, Tennessee, don't worry. You can check him out on Instagram, Southland_Dungeon, and he posts everything he gets in. If you see something you like, you can make a deal. And Jeff, what about those tarot cards?
Oh my God. The tarot card collection that guy has is just top notch.
The funny part is he does have a crazy tarot card collection. But he knows nothing about them. So, Mike, our joke for the longest time, he now listens to the podcast, so we don't do it anymore. But the joke for the longest time is we would tell people to go into the store and ask him to do a tarot card reading, which he has no idea, what to do. So anyway, but no, go visit Jason, go to Southland Books and Cafe. We're going to have some cool events down there too. I'm putting together some events for them, not necessarily horror related, but nerdy stuff. So check out southlandbooksandcafe.com. So what else we got? Pull out something else of your stack, Mike.
So I have one that I think you guys, I'm going to guess you guys both like and have still played the series, but I could be wrong. House of the Dead series?
Oh
yeah. I love the arcade game.
Yeah.
And then I had it on the Wii, and the 2 and 3 Wii is really good because you can use the remote.
Yeah.
So yeah, the house, much better than the movie.
Yeah. That was a funny bad movie. Yes, the first one. The second one I really didn't think was funny. Or
what's his face direct that?
It's Uwe Boll. Yeah.
Uwe Boll, yeah.
He's my favorite.
He's pretty fun. He's pretty
Rampage.
fun.
Didn't he do Rampage? That movie about the shooting guy?
No, there's 2 of those Rampage movies.
Yeah.
And then he did. He did some other video games, but he did Postal, which was technically based on a video game.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Alone in the Dark, he did.
Alone in the Dark.
Game that had like a guy that looked like Keanu Reeves on the cover.
Who was it?
Which one?
So Alone in the Dark. There was a Xbox 360 game, right?
Oh, yeah, I have that one.
Was in it.
Yeah, but Alone in the Dark was like a PC game back in the day and a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah,
they made it into they made that new version's actually really, the one you're talking about on the 360 and the PS3 is very ambitious, but very difficult and like not done well. But the game is actually like very ambitious. A lot of cool stuff in that game.
Yeah.
The New Nightmare one? No, not the New Nightmare. I can't remember the name.
Uwe Boll did Blood Rain.
Yeah.
Oh.
He did like 3 of those movies.
Yeah.
Who
with and it had the female Terminator in it.
Somebody just posted about those. Was it Dylan? I follow Dylan Young. That he was at the FrankenCon. He was in the short contest and stuff. But he's
a short film contest. We don't actually have a short person contest.
I'd enter.
He was in the short person.
Well, how tall are you, Jeff?
Like 5'8".
Oh, that's not
tall. Yeah, he's too tall. Too tall Jeff. That's what we call him.
Yeah. Walk around with stilts. But I think I think he programs some movies somewhere, and I saw on his page, on his like stories or something, he was posting the Blood Rain things.
I mean, I never saw them, but I think they went to Sci-Fi. I think a lot of those did, like Alone in the Dark and stuff.
They can't be good, right? No,
none of them are good. I mean, Postal is only good because, I mean, it's a comedy and it goes so over the top, and I like the movie, but
the movie's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like, I'm not talking like South Park offensive. Like, there's some really offensive things in there.
Yeah. Just because we mentioned House of the Dead, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this was really good. Kind of like an offshoot, Zombie Revenge. It was like
I remember. I know the cover, but I never played it.
Really fun with like 2 or 3 players. It's an action. Like, do you ever play like Die Hard Arcade?
I love the Die Hard trilogy. Yeah,
but like the Die Hard Dynamite Deca. I don't know if you played it in Japan, but it was like they had a Die Hard version, but they I think lost the license. You like run around and like fight, like think of a 3D Final Fight, but with House of the Dead looking,
that's cool.
Voices, but it's kind of like Final Fight or with guns and stuff. Really, really fun. Very underrated.
Oh, that reminds me of like it's a 2-on-2 fighter or whatever, but Darkstalkers.
Yeah, I have those. Those are fun.
Yeah, they're badass. Like you can be Frankenstein and the Mummy and all sorts of horror characters, and it's a Street Fighter. I mean, basically.
Yeah.
I think it's out on Switch now as well.
Yeah,
I think I just kind of Googled because I was like drawing a blank on other stuff. Alien Isolation, that's a more modern one, I guess, where you're kind of just hiding from the alien and stuff.
That was difficult. I couldn't get into that.
Yeah, I had a hard time with it too. Soma is one I remember people talking about. Again, I didn't play. My buddy Taco told me.
Isn't that a drug?
It is now.
That
Yes, it
athlete
is.
steak, like
It is,
Somas
yeah. It's
or
a
whatever.
painkiller, yeah.
Alan Wake is
Oh,
another.
that's
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
then
They
I
just
think
came
the
out with-
new one is out.
Yeah, the first one was excellent. I didn't play the second one.
Evil Within.
Oh, that was one of the ones I pulled out.
Oh, good. You
Oh,
got
that's
the cool cover too. I think I got to. I mean, it's the same guy who made like the original Resident Evil games, right? So
Yeah.
I got to like one part where some dude just kept beating me to death, and I was like, I can't play it anymore, just because I didn't have the time to like jump in and get better at it. But yeah, I remember liking it, and it did have that feel that you're like, oh, this is what Resident Evil used to be. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. And then just because we covered, there's one other one, The Quarry. I don't know anything about it, but I think Lynn Shay was like a character.
I have that one. It's I only played a little. It's very similar to like Until Dawn or
Oh,
what was that other one? Man of Medan, the Dark Pictures anthology type of stuff.
yeah,
Choose your adventure.
those are kind of cool games, but I mean, it's more story driven than it is like gameplay driven, I'd say, on a lot of those.
Agreed.
And then the last
never-
one, just because we covered it, was Five Nights at Freddy's. I wanted to mention. I mean, it's not, it wouldn't be so much horror for us as it would be like 8, 9, 10-year-old kid that's playing it, getting scared.
Well, Richard probably likes it because it's probably similar to Night Trap and Double Switch in a way.
Yeah, kind of. So I never played the game. I tried, and then I just now we watched the movie, and I really love the movie actually, and so I wanted to play the game, and I don't know where to start. Like all of them, like if you look in the App Store, you don't know if it's actually the game or some help thing, and then there's like different names, and I don't know. So I just gave up. But I never played this one because it was on the Wii U. But did y'all ever play Zombie U?
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it? I always wanted to play it.
It's
I
very
saw
good.
the demo and it looked awesome.
It's ambitious as well because you have to use the gamepad to. So they ported it over to more
PS4.
modern consoles. I think it was PS4
they
and
did?
Xbox One or Xbox 360, something like that. It took away the fun part because you'd have to use the Wii U gamepad to move around your items in real time. And then you would use the gamepad to look at things and like find stuff. And then if you died, and then you'd have a next character come, and your next character would have to find the body or kill the zombie that you turned into and get those items you dropped. So it was pretty innovative for its time.
Did you just keep dying and coming back as somebody else?
You can, yes.
Oh man, that's a cool concept.
I think the Wii U was kind of an underrated console. It kind of just got overlooked because of how popular the Wii was. Because the Wii sold so much, and like
it changed what it was too.
It was so accessible to who played it. I mean, it was in nursing homes, like it was getting like seniors active. It was getting kids involved and keeping them active. I think it was so accessible to all those people. But then there was like the group of core like hardcore gamers that was like, okay, what does this system offer? So but then it's a Nintendo console, so they're like, here, give them a Mario game, give them a Zelda game, and that'll hold them over for a while, and those games just have the name recognition and the popularity that like they could kind of carry Nintendo through stuff like that. And then the Wii U came out, it had like what was it, Wind Waker, the Zelda game that was really fun. I liked the art a lot on that one. And then just some other fun games and like concepts because you had that pad. And I mean, I think without that pad, I don't know if we'd be like where we are with like people and all their touch screen phones and touch screen, tablets and all that.
Well, I for sure think the pad was the ultimate thing for the Switch, right? I think it was more of a trial run for the Switch too, and I don't know. I just hope the Switch doesn't take them. I mean, really, people wanted a Wii 2, and really right now people just want a Switch 2, and that's what they think they're going to get, but you never know with Nintendo. So.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
That's
you just
what I
don't
like
know.
about Nintendo, though. They're not afraid to like do.
I mean, they are a wacky company, man. I mean, they just literally do whatever they want. It's like, we're going to make a game out of cardboard, and you're going to play it.
Yeah,
So,
I remember that.
Yeah, the Labo and like even the Mario Kart, the real life Mario Kart thing, and they do some weird things.
So speaking of weird, I know we usually go about 45 minutes or so.
It's a special episode. We go a little longer if needed.
the D series. I don't know if anyone's played it. D was a like
Oh
on
yeah,
rails
yeah.
horror game. They did D2, which was a
Huh.
more Resident Evil type of game in the snow. And then they did Enemy Zero on the Saturn. So that was before this. They're all loosely connected, really just by the name of the protagonist. Um, but the other one was a first-person horror game on the Saturn where your enemy is invisible, and you have this thing that beeps when they get close. And if you wait too long to attack, they will kill you instantly.
Really?
So pretty kind of like an Alien Isolation thing.
Yeah.
But on the Saturn, this is probably my favorite out of the trilogy, if you will. This was a weird, very janky, weird. Like if you like Deadly Premonition,
Yeah. Okay.
D2 is recommended.
That's cool. I'm putting these all in my phone so I can look up gameplays of them
Oh,
later.
yeah,
So-
it's weird.
I know I'm to the point where I'm so old now. I'm like, I'll just watch it on YouTube for a little bit.
Yeah.
Watch somebody who's good.
Not necessarily horror, but I was looking it up and it's kind of horror. But Totally Rad. Do y'all remember that game for Nintendo?
Yeah.
It was so good. Like you got transformed into like different monsters. Like I think there was like a creature from the Black Lagoon thing, kind of, and like different aliens and stuff. I don't know. I always loved that game, and I thought it was a horror game, but then I looked it up and it kind of isn't. But
Mhm.
So
um,
we spoke of Alien. Alien franchise has been around for a long time. I feel like it's had a couple different versions. There was like Alien, was it Colonial Marines or something like that for
Yeah, that
360. They had that Fire Team one that just came out a few years back. They
That
had,
was pretty good.
yeah, and then they had Isolation or whatever it was.
they had Alien versus Predator in the arcade that was a beat 'em up.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what I was going to say, the game that I feel like Alien borrowed from, I'm not real sure on the timeline. What was it? Was it called Outlast, where you kind of sneak into the place and you have the video camera and
Yeah,
it's like jump scares and stuff, and people are trying to get you and all that. The only way to stop them is like
Yeah, that was-
get them on the camera and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was similar to Alien Isolation. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that was kind of a cool game. I was bad at it. I remember getting killed by like the first guy over and over, and then just quitting. So
Do you remember Area 51?
Yeah, the shooter.
The
Yeah.
shooting?
Yeah, that was cool. Kind of like not horror, that Aerosmith game. They always kind of in my head came out.
Oh,
of
the
the
Aerosmith game where you shoot CDs out of
Yeah,
people is a great. And then I love those games, man. Terminator 2
one.
arcade game is amazing.
Yeah.
The Lethal Enforcer games are great, not horror, but
what was the one I told you about, Richard? And of course you knew. It was the Western one. It was
Oh,
like,
I know. That's your favorite, Custer's Last Stand.
yeah.
Jeff's favorite on the Atari.
Custer's Last Stand.
You can edit that part out. We'll probably get in trouble for that one.
We'll get flagged. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's just so many games to talk about, and horror specifically. But I enjoyed talking about them, and we can even come back around, and Mike can just bring out a stack of games we can talk about. How many games do you own, Mike?
I don't know. I have a very big Wii U collection: Sega CD, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast.
Okay, so very big Wii U collection. Is that all of them?
No, no.
Like, how many?
I probably have 40 games for it. You know what I mean? Like,
How many did they make? Like 80?
I don't know, but I have a fairly large, like, Wii U collection. I think my biggest is Dreamcast, Saturn, and Sega CD, obviously.
Yeah. Do you do like Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games, or no, not really?
My buddy Ricky sent me a Super Nintendo like clone console.
Oh yeah,
So I did pick up, like, I have Fester's Quest sitting over here.
yeah.
That was a fun one. Being bald, I think I feel kind of in tune with Fester at this point. Yeah, so I do play. I actually, back when they were out, I preferred the Super Nintendo to the Genesis because of the RPGs at the time. But yeah, I'll play anything pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wish I played more games now. I try to, but then I get my ADD is all over the place, and running a con and doing a podcast just seems to take over my life sometimes. So, but I'm playing Mario Wonder now, and it is really cool. And Nintendo is weird. It's like, okay, so Mario's going to turn into an elephant in this game. Okay, everybody? They're like, why? They're like, Just people love elephants. It's fine.
They're like, it's not much different than when he was a flying hat last game. And you just,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, or a cat. He's been a cat. He's been a
frog,
raccoon.
yeah, the frog suit.
He had the frog suit. So yeah, it's so weird what they do with. Have you played Wonder yet?
No, because I was beating Super Mario World first.
There's these things. There's these little flowers in there, and they crack me up. They're just so funny. Anyway, not horror, but I guess Bowser could be considered horror.
Mm.
And the Super Nintendo, the Super Mario Brothers movie, live action movie, could be considered horror.
So just, I know we're wrapping things up. The Super Mario movie, the original one. I love that movie. I like how weird it is and like cyberpunky. If anyone ever gets a chance and they like import Sega Saturn games, Cyberdoll is a cyberpunk like RPG
Wow.
with horror elements. Check this out. Very, very weird and cool. Jeff, put this on your list for things to watch.
Cyberdoll.
Cyberdoll, yeah. It sort of has that horror cyberpunky Super Mario thing going on in a way.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us, Mike. And sorry we had to kidnap you and do all that stuff, but
Please don't release those elves. Thank you.
Where can everybody find you?
I'm on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as Sega CD Universe. So hit me up sometime, and we'll. I love chatting with people, so it's fun.
Yeah, I went through a rabbit hole of your Sega CD games on YouTube there last time we talked, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Thank you.
You're much more of a fan than I am, I feel, just because you still collect that stuff. But oh, they did Demolition Man on 3DO. That was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah,
not really hard, but
yeah, that was a cool one.
All right. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap it up. And until next time, what should they do, Jeffrey?
They should keep it bloody.
Because somebody has to play video games. And you should also leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and even subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Nice.